Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to Small Town Johnstown. I am Jenny,
And I'm Nick.
and today we have a special guest with us, Leah. So if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Leah. I am the owner of Black Raven Metaphysical Shop and the coordinator of the WPA Cryptid and Supernatural Expo and our brand new event that we created in January, Hexenfest.
So tell us a little bit about those events and how you got started into the supernatural cryptids and how you started Hexenfest as well.
One thing about me is I am a psychic medium and I opened up my shop in 2017. So I was located in Winber. I have since relocated. And how the cryptid show happened is I got a call one day from Sean Stifler. He is a member of the Johnstown Masonic Temple, and they were looking to do something, bring something new to the area. And there was a need basically for something of cryptids because cryptids are a big thing. And I don't know how much you guys know about Bigfoot and Squonk. Joe Fogel has Squonkapalooza.
Yeah, we went to that this past year.
Past 2 years.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, so the demand was there, and we created it through email first, and then we were on the phone creating, and it happened, and we ended up having a great guest speaker lineup, and we had the one day there for the beginning of the year, which was 2023, and then last year in 2024 we were at 2 days and it is growing. So we're in our third year right now.
That's awesome. So what kind of speakers do you have or vendors or what can people see at these events?
Okay, so our first year we started out with Stan Gordon, who is a Bigfoot and UFO researcher. We've had guest speakers like Brian Seach. Last year we had guest appearances by Willie McQuillan and Jeff Healy of the Travel Channel's Mountain Monsters. As far as our vendors, we have a wide range of vendors. Some of our vendors, as I was saying, they make specific stuff for cryptid themes, like Dave Grant from Snarly Owl. He is a woodworker and he makes cutting boards, charcuterie boards, and he puts cryptids on them. He's from West Virginia, so their cryptid is the Snarly Owl. So that is the black dog with the red eyes. Joe Fogel is one of our vendors, and he has teamed up with American Eagle Screen Print in Johnstown, and he has a wide range of t-shirts that they offer as well. So it just depends. We are all encompassing, all welcoming of anyone who wants to attend and join us.
So what made you fall in love with this kind of stuff that made it your passion to definitely invest into and make your career?
It is the lore of the unknown. And these creatures their stories have been told throughout years. And this all goes back to the indigenous, which I am. So even the indigenous who were around the area in the beginning of Cambria County, Somerset County, spoke of things like cryptids, like Bigfoot, and like skinwalkers. And there have been a lot of sightings, especially within Somerset County, people telling their tales. They are specific and they are adamant about, I know what I saw, and it was not human. And that's how people like Stan Gordon or Brian Seach or Bill Rigby get involved because they go and investigate these things. We're still waiting for Bigfoot actually to show up at one of our
Yeah.
events, but in the meantime, we do have mascots that do appear.
Hopefully he watches this episode. I know he's a big follower.
Yeah, well, according to the one show that's on the Travel Channel, he likes bacon. So we're hoping to lure him in this year with that.
Yes,
Big
absolutely.
bacon themes show.
Perfect.
Bacon pancakes. Bigfoot, we have bacon pancakes.
Yes.
So do you have a favorite cryptid of the ones you listed so far?
Well, let me see here. I am very interested in Bigfoot and all the stories around Bigfoot. But when I met Dave Grant from Snarly Owl, I was very much interested in their cryptid. So I started reading as much as I could about it. He is in the Harper's Ferry, West Virginia area. So they have sightings a lot down there with this cryptid, red eyes, glowing dog. So very interesting stuff.
Now, is this something that you're always interested, or that you grew an interest a little bit later in life, maybe a little bit in your teen years or adult years, or
Well, here's this. So I grew up in Johnstown. Johnstown's my hometown. My story, my experience of seeing spirits started when I was 3. So I lived on Somerset Street along the river wall there, and the house is no longer there. They tore it down. But when I was 3 years old, I started to see flood victims. So they started to come in to the house in my bedroom. So I've always had that ability to connect and see spirits. And throughout my life, it always followed me. It's something that never goes away. Once you tap in, or whether these are gifted to you or you tap in, it doesn't go away. So they followed me my whole entire life, but you have to keep that level of sanity with yourself so
For
you
yeah.
sure.
don't, you know, go to the bad place. But yeah, so that has been my whole entire life. And I don't know how much you read on me or whatever research you did. I'm a former police officer, prior military. So I utilized my abilities within my career to help me keep me safe, keep my family safe. But I never outed myself until probably about 2016 when I worked at Conemaugh Hospital. So that is where a lot of the activity started for me. The place is very active, and I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, so you don't just see flood spirits, but you see other spirits too from like past deaths and everything.
Yes, yes. Everywhere I go. And it is a respect thing. I love Teresa Caputo, don't get me wrong if you're familiar with her, but that's not my thing. I don't run up on people and tell them stuff. It has to be something that is permission. So
Yeah.
even if I do see something around someone, I'll keep it to myself unless it's absolutely necessary that the message be passed on. And then I'll ask for permission from that person. But yeah, it varies of what happens.
Now, these spirits usually look like what an average person imagines what a spirit is. Have you ever seen any dark forces that maybe you don't think is spirits?
I did a spot on the Travel Channel. I was on Paranormal 911 season 2.
Ooh.
So I talk about my experience that I had with a shadow person when I worked there. So I worked in security and we were on patrol. I was training a new officer at the time who didn't believe in any of this. And we went to an old floor over in the E building that they were renovating for the residents to come in and stay. And as I'm taking him around, showing him, things started to happen. There was no connections to this floor, no hookup of electricity or phones, but lights are going off, call bells are going off. And we did have another employee call in and say that they saw somebody go into the building. So that's what our initial call was. And while we were over there, he was saying, I don't believe in this stuff. And I said, okay, that's fine. I said, when you work here, you're going to have experiences. And sure enough, that's when things started to happen. And he actually thought we were setting him up with all
Yeah,
this
prank.
activity just
Yeah.
because he's a rookie. But that was not true. But yeah, so that was one of the things that I saw. It was a shadow person. So they are not human. They've never been human here on Earth. And they are from another realm. And they are not good.
I don't think I could handle seeing something like that.
Yeah. I
Yeah, it's one of those things where you have to really prepare yourself for, and even as much preparation as you do, it's still overwhelming.
I remember in my first house that I lived in, we had a lot of paranormal activity with like the attic. Like they'll like throw stuff down the attic stairs, or we would sometimes
Yep.
hear noises and everything. And I was young, so I didn't pay too much mind. I'd be chilling in the attic by myself, but it's definitely scary. And we feel like we've had like spirits follow us sometimes,
Yes,
like ghost spirits follow us that are attached to us, because every time we moved around, there was always something funky happening.
I'm just going to go on a limb here and say it's probably you.
Yeah.
You might have an ability you haven't tapped into because they do follow us. They
Mhm.
seek out the people that they believe that can communicate with them. So, but on that note of what you said, I don't know if you're talking about living in Johnstown in these homes, but that is another reason. The area is a vortex. It is really a recipe for paranormal activity because of having three catastrophic floods,
Hmm.
mine explosion, the devastation of Johnstown, depression, oppression that has happened over the years. And that is a recipe for paranormal activity.
Do you also think it could be a result of all the Indian tribes that we kicked out and putting places over these Indian burials, kind of like what Stanley Kubrick tried to do in The Shining, like represent that a
Yes.
little bit too?
Yes. And I'm Shawnee, so I am indigenous.
Hmm.
Yeah.
One of the things that happens is there is a protection that's put over the land. And anytime blood is spilled into the land, it creates that ripple effect. And where I lived in Somerset County, I lived out in Fulmont, and it was a development. It was up above Fort Dewart. The Shawnee were there along with the 2,000 troops. The British were up there, and that was Shawnee territory, Lenape as well. And people had a hard time building up there. That, things would happen because you have to make peace with that land and make it right
Hmm.
in order to kind of get some of that stuff to subside.
That's why I do think like all those tragic events that you mentioned are because of the result of us uh, uh, overtaking the indigenous people's land without their permission, without making peace of it, and it's kind of just like a little bit of a curse.
Yeah.
Yes, that's exactly right.
So, what do you say to people who are maybe scared of seeing spirits or maybe are skeptical about it? Like, how would you explain that to someone who doesn't understand or maybe doesn't believe kind of the practice of tapping in or being gifted in that way?
As far as someone who doesn't believe or a skeptic, I love a skeptic. I want somebody to question everything,
Yeah.
everything. And I don't know how old you guys are, but your generation kind of is the generation that you don't take anything for face value. You
Mhm.
question everything.
We
Hmm.
try to, yes.
That's how you learn.
Yes, yes. And that is a wonderful way to navigate through life. But if somebody doesn't believe, that's their choice.
Hmm.
And that is a respect on my part to where I can't convince you of anything that you don't believe in until it happens to you. And that's usually what happens with a lot of people who grew up, having a belief system. And that's a lot of the customers I would have. They would come in and like, I grew up Catholic or Christian. We don't believe in this. We have a certain belief, they have the belief that it's demonic, whatever. But then something happens to them and then they seek out somebody like me for answers, and it changes their whole thought process. Like, I can't explain what just happened to me. I know something happened to me. I know I saw a ghost, and the first thing they want to know is, am I going crazy?
Hmm.
Probably not. You you saw what you saw. And as I said, it's one of those things where I can't force somebody to believe. But then when the thing happens, then they seek out for answers. And it's usually coming into to a shop like mine or someone else to try to get help. And it does have a lot to do with people living in the homes in Johnstown that have a haunting, have things going on that they can't explain.
So, how often do people come to you, or do you have any stories recently of someone seeing a spirit, ghost, whatever it is, and they come to you and ask for help?
Yes, I'm not going to name names again because it's if
That's
they're
totally fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
unless they're sitting with me, I'm not going to say their name. But I just had the conversation yesterday with somebody who experienced stuff 2 days ago. They had things that were being thrown at them. They were seeing shadows, having all the experiences. And even though they are in the same community as me, where they do have abilities, they're in the beginning stages of realizing what's going on with them. And it is a discussion, an open discussion of, okay, well, let's start assessing this, what happened, what took place. And through talking to them and kind of setting their mind at ease, like, this is what's going on. No, you're not possessed. No, you don't need an exorcism. It's you. So no matter where you go, these things are going to happen to you unless you learn how to deal with them and protect yourself. That's the first thing I'll tell somebody is you need to learn how to protect yourself. Because even though the majority of these things don't harm you, some can. It's really, really important to learn what you can and can't do.
So when you say they can harm you, can they not maybe not possess you or anything, but can it make you do things or act up in a certain way that you might not? Can they like slowly influence you to do things and just act
Yes,
out?
yes. There's something within our community that we tell anybody that is going through this, and we call it an awakening. And that is to keep your vibration as high as possible. So one thing we talk about is making sure that you are grounded, that you're doing any kind of, if you're into meditation, learn how to do meditation, eat good, take care of yourself, mind, body, and spirit. Make sure that you are not subjecting yourself to any toxicity with people, places, and things, because that can lower your vibration as well. And if you do keep your vibration high, really nothing is going to come in at you. But unfortunately, it is the ones that are going through it, either through depression, and even if we want to talk about this through any kind of recovery. If someone is going through some kind of recovery, they are more susceptible to having attacks, psychic attacks, or whatever it is that's coming in at them.
Yeah, because their defense is lower, they're not as in tune with themselves. It's just more easy to be accessible for that spirit to
Mhm.
influence them to do stuff that they might not originally do.
Yeah, yes.
So, what are some ways that people can protect themselves, even if they are skeptical, even if they don't have a gift or anything, but they do feel like some things are around them, maybe good or bad? What are some things that people can do to protect themselves from these spirits?
Well, sometimes it depends on their faith. And we tell people, you have your faith, rely on that. Call upon whoever it is that you talk to, you pray to, whether it is God, whether it is an ancestor, grandma on the other side. That's what they're there for. Call upon them to protect you. Guardian angels. I 100% believe in guardian angels. I work with them, and I've had to call in a time or two. But yeah, rely on your faith. You can utilize amulets, talismans, anything like that. Across, seek out a priest, go have him bless something for you. Whatever it is, whatever your faith is, lean in toward that and utilize what you know.
Are you okay with maybe sharing a story that maybe you had, like you said, you had to call on some guardian angels that maybe you were like very scared for your life, but just in general that you can talk
Yes, yes. Back to the cryptids.
about?
Out on the property that I lived at in Central City, it's on top of the mountain on Route 30. And talking about people that don't respect the land. We had new neighbors that came up from DC, I believe, and built a new house beside us. And when they did, they gutted the side of the mountain and disturbed the land.
Yeah.
When they did that, I was attacked by a skinwalker in my home twice. Yes, I've never encountered anything like that before, but I did a video on this on my own channel. But what happened was I went to bed, and at about 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, I woke up in the fight of my life. I had what was making itself look like my husband above me trying
Mhm.
to suffocate me.
Mhm.
And I was confused because I'm coming out of a sleep and I'm like, okay, why is my husband trying to choke me? And it wasn't him. When I opened my eyes again, it was gray. It looks like the thing that you would see if you pulled up the images. It was all crooked and gray,
Hmm.
kind of looked like an alien, kind of not, but it was trying to basically do me in. And I did what I knew how to do. I called in Archangel Michael. And when I did that, he came in like a blue streak and and took it, and it was gone. And I looked over to my right and saw my husband with his back to me. He was out.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
I'm like, how do you not know that this just happened?
Yeah.
He had no clue. And then the second time, this was a year later. The second time he was at work, he worked night shift, and This was about close to 6:30 in the morning. I felt again it come up behind me real fast, and its hand come around and was choking me and trying to, same thing. And again, I called in Archangel Michael, came in, and my curtains kind of blew with the wind and it was gone. So these are the stories that people like Stan Gordon or Brian Seach or Bill Rigby are getting from people specifically out in Somerset County,
Hmm.
telling the same story. When I had my store in Windber, there were numerous people that would come into my store from Central City saying the exact same thing. And I never told anybody about what happened to me, not once. And they said the same thing. They were describing it the same way, same MO, if you will. The thing was trying to suffocate
Yeah.
in their sleep. So Schaefer Mountain is very prevalent for skinwalkers.
Hmm. Now, probably my one of my last few questions. I know Jenny has a couple herself. I'm kind of overtaking this interview, but could you consider now what's it called when people are asleep, but then they feel like they're awake and they're moving, but they're like still asleep? Because I know I've had that a couple of times where I felt like I was suffocating or thirsty, and I felt like getting up, but then I'd zoom back in the bed, and I felt like my body couldn't move, but I was moving in my head, and then I was aware, and then I had to like wake myself up.
It might be astral projection to where you're astral traveling, and that is where you leave your body and you can maneuver around and interact and travel. Um, the the thing with astral projection is it can be very scary because a lot of people have trouble getting back.
Mhm.
They're kind of just out there.
Yeah,
So that can be very scary. Lucid dreaming,
yeah.
it all goes hand in hand. As a remote viewer, that can also be as well.
Hmm.
Remote viewing is in the category of psychic abilities.
Yeah, that's very scary. I hate any kind of lucid dreaming, sleep paralysis, like
Yeah.
those kinds of experiences. And just listening to your story about the skinwalker and everything, that
Mhm.
would be very terrifying. And if something like that happened to me, I would think I was going crazy probably because nobody else is there to witness what's going on. Do you think there's any kind of link between maybe mental health or mental illnesses and these spirits or maybe even demons or whatever they are? Or do you think spirits might more easily link to people that do have some kind of mental diagnosis?
Well, here's the thing about that. I'm not a psychologist, but I can give you examples from a layman's term.
Yeah.
Um, I do think it all kind of goes hand in hand to where a lot of people who are diagnosed with having a mental illness really don't. But then again, there are people who do have some type of mental illness, mental disorder, mental health disorder that still, they are still experiencing this. One of the good things about this is at Hexenfest, my guest speaker, I know you guys have interviewed her, but my guest speaker is Brianna Kaiser from Trippy, Hippie, Healing and More.
Hmm.
Hmm.
And this is one of the things that she is going to be discussing is mental health and abilities and how to navigate through all that. But yes, I do. Anything is a possibility.
Hmm.
There are all kind of different spirits, and then there are all kind of different not so good spirits, whether they are
Yeah.
negative spirits, malevolent, demonics, low levels, entities. Yeah, anything is a possibility.
Do you think there's any particular reason that you were gifted with this ability? Do you think it has to do with your indigenous ancestry at all? Like, why do you think you have this ability that most people do not?
It is bloodline. So I do know it comes from my mother's side of the family. My mother, same as me, she didn't want it. And my great grandmother, who was indigenous, she lived up on Spring Street behind St. Teresa's Church over in the West End. And she was known as the Witch in the Woods. So people were terrified of her when they
Yeah.
were, in the area. And she passed away in 1976. So this is a while ago. And she was a psychic. She knew things, she knew who was going to call, she knew who was going to visit. Predictions, she predicted the Johnstown flood a year before it happened. She told my grandparents they better get their basement ready because there's another flood coming.
Hmm.
Hmm.
And they said, no, no, they got the dam fixed. It's good. She's like, no, it's going to happen and it's happening next year. And it definitely did. Um, but she was also a medicine woman as well. So when anybody in the family was sick, they would go to her and feel better in a couple days. So she had that gift of healing on top of being a psychic.
That might be explaining why I might, if I do have some power that I don't know of, that I haven't tapped into, because we did have 23, not 23 me, what is it? The
Ancestry.
Ancestry.com,
Yeah.
and I do have a little bit of Mayan in me from because my dad's Guatemalan and his mother is Mayan, while his dad is from Spain and stuff. So I could definitely maybe have some of that passed down to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. And then the thing about that is with families, a lot of families didn't talk about this.
Hmm.
So,
Not everyone knows their family history.
Mm-hmm.
right, exactly. And that's the sad thing about it. You know, a lot of people don't sit around grandma's table anymore
Hmm.
and play cards and have those conversations.
Yeah.
But we did, and I did have the open dialect with my family, so I wasn't made to be weird, or, told that it was not true. That, I was definitely supported, but I was also told don't go to school and tell anybody because they'll take you away.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
for
Yeah.
did none of
sure. I was
that.
gonna say, has anyone, since you came out about this in, you said 2016, has anyone, tried to exercise you or called you a witch or anything crazy like that?
As far as anybody, no, I would never subject myself to that because I know who I am. And that is very important when somebody is getting ready to step into this, realizing what's going on with them. You do have to know who you are. You have to have a solid basis as to your identity. Like, you're not going to tell me anything different. This is who I am. This is what's going on with me. It is what it is. But as far as being called a witch, oh, of course, but it comes with the territory. And you know what? I like that. I do like that because I wear that with honor.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I'm very happy to be a part of that community because we are about connecting, about our community and supporting each other. And I found a good group of people when I finally stepped into this and accepted it. And that's what it's all about. It's about community and support and finding others like yourself that you can
Yeah.
relate to.
Yeah, so someone understands you and you don't feel scared or crazy, don't get taken away. You need to find people that understand what it's like to have those abilities.
Yeah, and it does help when, obviously I don't work with children without parents' permission,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
but even little kids that are going through this and, they need somebody to talk to
Hmm.
because kids are truth tellers.
Yeah.
Like, when they got something going on and they're adamant about it, that's it. They stand on business.
Hmm.
And the parents who support children who are coming out and talking about these things find somebody like myself to have them go talk to let them know that you're not alone. There's
Mm-hmm.
others like us out there. And no, you're not crazy.
So I know I brought it up before, but have you ever watched The Shining by Stanley Kubrick? Can you like relate to some of the things that the kid was going through at all? Was he spitting some facts in that movie?
No, I haven't. The what I relate to is The Sixth Sense.
Okay.
Okay.
So that is the movie to where everything that kid is going through, that was me.
Mm-hmm.
That was me. When he is sitting in the car talking to his mom during the car accident, when the biker gets hit by the car and they're
Yeah.
waiting to get through traffic. Yeah, very much relatable in that scene to
Yeah.
where he confesses and he tells his truth. And then his mom is trying to wrap her head around it and understand it. And then finally, when he mentions her mom and grandma, that that is so relatable for me. And I think that is a really good movie for anyone to watch who's going through it because it's 100% accurate.
So how can people reach you if they, want to get in contact with you, maybe understand some of the things that they're seeing or hearing, or if they want to get involved or vendor at any of your events?
Okay, so as far as the events with the WPA Cryptid and Supernatural Expo, we have a website is wpacase.com. And anyone who wants to sign up to be a vendor, hit the event page. The applications are on there along with the payment link, and secure your spot. So what I do after that is I'm the one that creates all the announcements. Their announcements go up on the group page and all over social media. This year we have added food trucks. So we have a couple that have signed up with us as well that'll
Hmm.
be stationed out in the parking lot. Same concept for Hexenfest. They can go to my website, blackraven6.com, go to the event page, fill out the application, same process. Either way, you're talking to me. So I'm the
Yeah.
one creating both. But yeah, if somebody has a question, my website is set up for them to know how to contact me. They can reach me through email through blackraven1626@gmail.com. And usually there is, I do have a group of customers who know how to get a hold of me, but for anyone new, go through the website. And I will respond as soon as I have availability.
All right. Thank you so much for speaking with us. Again, this is Jenny.
This is Nick. It was a very learning experience.
I learned a lot
Yeah.
for sure.
Definitely something that was worth learning and finding a little bit more out about.
Well, I'm glad. Thanks for having me, guys. And if you have any availability, pop into the Masonic Temple and check out the expo.